need more. You don't need more software. You got to work on your hardware. Your hardware is you telling yourself some better stories. You're the most amazing creation on the planet. You are ready to regain your.
Good morning, everybody.
We're fighting this war.
Fighting this war
for our brain.
for our brain. All right, get that down. Hey, we're continuing on with Think and Grow Rich. It is, I didn't even know what month it is. September. No, it's August 22nd. 21st, August 21st. It is Thursday, August 21st. I hope everybody's doing well this morning. We had some friends over last night, sat over at the tent, having some refreshments, watching the sunset, talking about stuff. A very relaxing adult evening. That was very nice. Hey, let's continue on with faith and Think and Grow Rich. So what I'm doing is that if you've watched any of the recordings, for those of you here on YouTube, I'm not reading the book per se, word for word. This isn't like a book club. This is a mentorship conversation. I've read the book over 50 times in the last 40 years, probably a lot more than that. And I'm reading you the notes that go along with what I've been doing, right? You can kind of see them in there, and there's underlines and things. And again, after 50 plus readings, you start to see things a little bit differently. One of the things when I read a book and being a 6-time #1 bestseller in some cooperative conversations in part of books, but 6 times, and understanding how an editor works and what an editor does. Hey, Jameson. And understanding what an editor does, and they're looking for the audience. The editor doesn't necessarily always understand the essence of what you're doing. They're understanding, trying to get the sales of the book to be significant. So they change things, they adjust things, they tweak things. And in 1937, when this book was published, there's some cutting edge ideas that might have made it onto the cutting room floor because they were just a little too much at the time, right? Napoleon Hill has a book called Outwitting the Devil. That couldn't be published till 30 years, 40 years after his death. Some crazy number. But he wrote it a long time ago. It's this literal conversation that he had in his mind that he put down on paper with the devil about how we go check it out. Outwitting the Devil. It's on YouTube, every place. So let's continue on. Part 2 of faith. So yesterday we finished up from chapter 1, how faith is developed. There comes now a statement which will give a better understanding. Did we get here? I think we already did that. So maybe this is part 3. By following the instructions laid down in this chapter, in the chapters on autosuggestion and the subconscious mind. Yeah, we did that. Repetition, affirmation, orders. Yes. Yeah, I think we did that. So this is part 3. We need to adjust that. There is an equivalent. This is the equivalent of saying that any impulse, I remember that yesterday, of thought which repeatedly passed to the subconscious mind is finally accepted and acted upon by the subconscious mind, which proceeds to translate that impulse into the physical equivalent by most practical procedure available. This is key. I don't know that we touched on that yesterday. What this says, listen carefully. When man first came into contact with crime, they abhor it, right? We talked about that. If they remain in contact with crime for a time, they become accustomed to it, then endure it. If they remain in contact long enough, they finally embrace it and become influenced by it. What this is saying is that if you begin to start to hang around your thoughts, let that one settle in. How many of you hang around your thoughts? This is the equivalent of saying that any impulse of thought which is repeatedly passed to the subconscious mind I'm not enough. It's hot in here. It's, I don't have money. I don't know why nobody wants to join me in business. I can't do business. I struggle, right? If any of those impulses, which is repeatedly passed to the subconscious mind, it's critical to understand this. It's critical to grasp this. It's truly critical for you to start to look at things in a new way, change the way you look at things so the things you look at change, right? Wayne Dyer statement. Everything goes into the subconscious mind. And we know, science has proven, the subconscious mind cannot reject any thought. You say, I want to be a millionaire, and 5 seconds later you go, why am I broke? The subconscious mind doesn't reject, well, you said you wanted to be a millionaire. We're just going to reject the I'm broke statement. We're just going to reject that I'm not healthy statement. We're just going to reject that I'm old statement. It doesn't reject that. My friend doesn't like me. Doesn't reject that. My boss wants to fire me. Doesn't reject that. And it accepts, here's the hard part for you to understand, because you consciously think it's negative, it doesn't receive it as negative. It receives it as the truth. Everything that goes into the subconscious mind, it takes as truth. I'm fat. Ugh. Okay, you're fat. We can keep you fat. That's what you want. You want fat. That's what you just ordered up, a whole bunch of fat. It doesn't reject any, it can't reject anything. Any impulse of thought which is repeatedly, auto-suggestion, repeatedly passed to the subconscious mind is finally accepted and acted upon by the subconscious mind. I don't know if you've ever said or known anybody ever to say, I don't know why this always happens to me. I don't know why I always do that. Why do I always do that? Oh, I'm so dumb. Why do I always do that? You ever know anybody to say that? Finally accepted and acted upon by the subconscious, which proceeds, listen carefully, to translate that impulse into its physical equivalent. Here's the part that most people don't understand. They don't understand the law of attraction because they think they want to get it bigger and better. Watch this. Which proceeds to translate that impulse. There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made that permeates and penetrates and fills the inner spaces of the universe. A thought held in that substance produces the thing held by the thought, called the infinite intelligence, right? Wallace D. Wattles. Which proceeds to translate that impulse into its physical equivalent by the most practical procedure available. If you're good at failure, failure comes easy to you. Failure comes quick to you. If you're not so good at success, success has a hard time coming to you because it's got to unwind and it's going to weave through all of that failure thinking that you have. And here's the big thing. In connection with this, consider the statement, all thoughts which have been emotionalized, given feeling, and mixed with faith, begin immediately to translate themselves into the physical equivalent or counterpart. Okay, so page 82. To make this decent, to make this deceit more realistic, conduct yourself just as you would if you were already in possession of the material thing which you are demanding when you call upon your subconscious mind. Okay. So Dorothea Brand, in her book, what's the name of her book? Dorothea Brand's book. Can't think of the title of her book. Dorothea Brand came up with the philosophy, act as if. Now, she was writing during this time, 1900s. right? This book was published in 1937. She was the most attended female speaker. She was the #1 female speaker, presenter, trainer in this industry, in this profession of personal development back in the 1900s, Dorothea Brande. And her philosophy, when you read one of her books, and I'll think of the title of it in just a second. In it, she says, I came to this conclusion: act as if, wake up and live. Yes, thank you, Louise. So there are millions of people who believe themselves doomed to poverty and failure because of the strange force over them. I'm just skipping around, right? So I'm skipping around and doing different things. This is appropriate. This is an appropriate place to suggest again that you may benefit, or passing on your subconscious mind any desire which you translate into its physical or monetary equivalent in the state of expectancy or belief that the transmutation will actually take place. This is where visualization comes in. This is where your signal comes in. This is where you can tell the universe, I want it, 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 I want it. I got desire, I want it, I got faith, and you can lie your butt off to other people and telling them you want it all. Yet your signal is off by one station. You need to be tuned into 101.1 and you're tuned into 99.9. I'm close. I mean, I'm really close. I mean, I'm really, really, really close. It ain't going to happen, Skippy. This is why you keep sharpening your saw. You keep showing up. You keep doing the work, and you keep doing the work differently. You keep doing the work uniquely. Oh, I've been writing out my goal for 8 months and it hasn't happened. So then quit. Quit. Go to the nearest funeral parlor, buy a coffin, and bury your dreams. What can I tell you? I can't convince you. I can't lift your weights for you. You can't lift somebody else's weights for them. And the reason you can't argue with them, the reason you can't call them out on their shiitake, is because you don't want to be called out on yours. You ain't doing the work. You just ain't. You ain't doing the work. Well, what does the work look like? Well, if you got to ask, then you're not doing it. It looks like doing the consistent daily. Thank God we don't have to think about breathing. Could you imagine that? If you are not doing self-introspection on a daily basis, where did that belief come from? See, because if you don't understand where your beliefs come from, your habits come from, if you are shocked by the activities that you do, how many of you scrolled a little too long yesterday? Not super long, maybe a little too long. How many of you got really distracted yesterday? It happens. That's your habit. That's your habit. That's you throwing ice on your fire. And you wonder why it won't burn. Your belief or faith in the element which determines is the element. Your faith and belief is the element which determines the action of your subconscious mind. All of this is happening without words. All of this is happening what programmers would say under the hood. Under the hood. And if you don't know what's going on under the hood, you wind up in the hood getting shot. Your dreams, they just can't make it out. There is nothing to hinder you from deceiving your subconscious mind when giving instructions. There is nothing to hinder you from deceiving. So you got to tell yourself a better lie. You've been telling yourself a lot of lies. I'm not good enough. I'm not tall enough. Why has this happened? Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. Those are all lies that you use to justify your current state. I don't understand. I wish I could do it like you did it. Why can't this happen to me? How come it's so easy for you? Those are lies. Those are lies. It's not easy for anybody who makes it look easy. You know how I know it's not easy? Because they did a lot of sharpening of the saw. Who is that? Hey, Dubby. So you have to deceive, you have to deceive your current belief system. And here's the thing, listen carefully, listen carefully. This is where those of you that have worked with me, if you are being deceived, it is not the you that wants the goal. Wait, what? If you have lies being told about your productivity, your capability, your capacity, those lies are not the same person who is setting the goal, who is setting the dream, who is wanting to achieve success. Right, Debbie? Right? It's the truth. Does that make sense? So if you are frustrated, the frustration came from some other signal than you. How do you know you're frustrated? Because the you that doesn't want to be frustrated recognizes the vibration of something else. You're in a state you don't want to be in. Does that make sense? So it can't be you that got you there. You don't want to do it. That's why you are frustrated. What? What? So to make this deceit more realistic, conduct yourself just as you would if you were already in possession of the material thing which you are demanding when you call upon your subconscious mind. This, I can't, maybe I can express it better. Maybe I can light myself on fire or go get juggling balls and juggle and spin plates and make it more understandable. The reality is to make this deceit, it's called visualization, to sit in the state, to sit in the desire. Here's one of the things I know. As somebody who works on the brain, oh, sorry, Deb. As somebody who works on the brain and truly desires, I'm trying to find, there it is. Maybe you've used these things, maybe you haven't. So this is something from the Heart Meth Lab, right? This is your heart variable rate. So you turn this on and it's got a thing, it goes onto your phone. This is called a Mindy, right? So it checks blood flow, right? So this goes on your head and it checks blood flow and oxygen and how much flow, how much of your brain's capacity are you using in your prefrontal cortex. I've got some other devices. I can promise you there's certain times where I don't know what's going on, but I'll put this device on and normally I can get up to 50, 60% of my brain use or activity. There's something in the air because it sometimes struggles to get to 20. And here's the challenge. Here's the challenge. I'm just letting you know, when you want to go into this deceit of sitting in the absolute highest and best version of you, here's the hard part. You haven't been there, so you don't know what the heck it's like. Here's my point. If you've never been on an Alaska cruise, I want you to imagine yourself on an Alaskan cruise in the fjords of somewhere in Alaska. You're on your cruise ship. You just passed another cruise ship. You have an outside cabin. So your balcony is right there on the edge of the boat. And I want you to imagine it's August, it's 50 degrees, and the wind is blowing, and right? Can you put yourself there? Are you making stuff up? Here's the challenge. When you go into this deceit mode of wanting to put yourself in your state, you wind up thinking it's a lie. I don't know how to do this. I have a hard time visualizing. Okay, I'm going to close my eyes. All right, walk me through it. Walk me through it. Okay, so you just walked into your cabin. I've never been on a cruise ship before. What's the snowball's chance in Haiti this is ever going to work? Instead of saying, okay, this is what I imagine it to be like. If you don't give the universe some address to show up at, it's going to show up at the same crappy place you've been because you said, oh, I've never been on shit, so I don't know what it's like. Imagine, use your imagination. This is so absolutely critical. This is chapter 2, desire, faith. Of all of the principles, if you refuse, and that's the only reason that this would happen, you would refuse to activate your desire, you would refuse to activate your faith because you can activate it. It's not a skill you were born with. This is an acquired skill. To make the deceit more realistic, conduct yourself just as you would if you were already in possession of the material thing you were demanding when you call upon your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind will transmute into its physical equivalent, the most direct, the most practical media available, any order which is given to it in a state of, here's the key, belief or faith that the order will be carried out. For those of you that have been to the ranch and you've had Michelle do a manifestation, you have to submit the order with such confidence, with such clarity. Here's what I do know. You will order at a world-class steakhouse or at a drive-through at McDonald's. You will order it with such clarity and such conviction that if the order's wrong, some of you will, oh, the order's wrong. You know the order's wrong. How do you know the order's wrong? Honest question. Type an answer in the chat. How do you know your order was wrong? If you ordered a steakhouse, let's say you ordered the chicken parmesan and they brought you out spaghetti, how would you know your order's wrong? That's not what you ordered. How many times have they ever brought the food to the table and the waiter wrote down the numbers at the table wrong, and the person who delivered it, the runner, got the numbers mixed up, and they went and put your pasta down in front of the person who ordered eggplant parmesan, and they're like, I ordered the eggplant. Who got the spaghetti? Oh, I got the spaghetti. And they put the plate over there. Wouldn't it be neat if our dreams worked that way? I ordered the $10,000 3 ranks advanced in my business. I don't want to be, I didn't get the $200 a month raise at my work. I didn't order that. It doesn't work that way in this business. It doesn't work that way in personal undevelopment. You have accepted so many of the wrong orders, you can't even imagine the right order. Why should I even bother? Could you imagine if you went to a restaurant and every time you ordered it, they brought you the wrong thing? You're like, whatever, just freaking give me something. I'm hungry. And you ate what they gave you. Isn't that, ouch, isn't that bonus? Isn't that what you're doing right now? You are eating the crap that's showing up that you don't want, you don't like, you don't feel good about it. Yet you try to put on a happy face and go, oh, this is what I wanted. Yeah, okay. No, I'm okay with this. I don't want to ask for too much. I mean, I'm glad it came, right? And then we wind up with the sacrificial lamb. I'm glad I got something. What are you, walking around at the Salvation Army looking for handouts? Come on, people. You have control over where you are right now. And faith can transport you instantly out of your pain and suffering. Can. I'm working on a project right now, a very personal project right now. I've got some people who are helping me with it. That in 30 days, I'll be able to determine if I could get my mind in the right place. I'm working on it. I know that I have the capability and capacity. I need to see if I can muster my skills and talents to do something that's kind of outside of the box. We're working on it. I believe it's totally done. Everybody I've talked to has not ever seen it done. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. I think it'll be fascinating. So I have to sit in a place nobody I've asked can tell me what it's like to sit in that place. Mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. So it'll be cool. All right. This is such an important chapter. Y'all getting this? So to make the deceit more realistic, conduct yourself as just as you would if you were already, and this is where Bob Proctor talks about vibration. The thing you want already has a vibration. You grasp this, please. I hope I can do a good enough job to get it across. The thing you want already has a vibration. Understand that. It already exists in a vibratory state. It already exists in some form or fashion in a vibratory state. You just can't see it. Follow me on this. If you wanted to create $1 million in income, first question you have to ask, is there $1 million in income that's available to you? Yes or no? Yes. Then where is it? If it's already available to you, and you don't see it, where is it? It's in another vibratory state that you haven't stepped into yet. So if it already exists, your job is to get into the vibratory state so it can find you. That's it. Now, the vibratory state that you need to get in is going to require a desire of discipline stronger than the one you currently have. Wait, what? In order to step into the unknown, you have to be comfortable stepping into the unknown to create in the unknown. You can't create in the known. You cannot create in the known. You can only create in the unknown. It's why doodling. How many of you doodle? Anybody doodle? Drop a D in the chat if you know anybody who doodles. Draws the little circles while they're doing it's this little distraction they do while they're thinking of this, that, or the other. If you doodle, that's creation. It's why when we write out our manifestation, our DMP, physically write it out, not on a text, not on a type, writing with pen and paper, pencil and paper, crayon and paper. Hey, listen, you got better watch out today. My crayons are sharp and the box is full. I'm coming for you. Mike, I got sharp crayons today. When you write out, you are physically creating. You are in the act of creation. So when you're creating, and writing slows down the mind because you can think so much faster, that when you write it out, you create new neural synapses, new neural connections, new neural vibrations, new activations into the thinking stuff, into the intelligent stuff. And that's where these, oh yeah, oh man, I just had this great idea. That's where it comes from. Jim Rohn says, rarely will a great idea interrupt you. They don't interrupt you. You've got to give it space. You got to go out and seek it. You know what the great idea says when you find it? I don't know why you're surprised. I've been here all along. When that starts to settle in, that every great idea, every great vibration, every great thing that you want is already in existence and it's as close as your skin. And when you find it, it's not surprised. It's like I've been knocking on your door for decades. What are you doing? I'm glad you opened the door. Could you imagine how mad your good ideas are? Because you can't see them, you can't find them, you can't hear them. You keep talking to the. Could you imagine if you were a friend wanting to help one of your good friends, and you had the solution, you were right there, and you're standing there just behind the glass, going, "I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here," and you've been doing that for a decade. You've been doing that for 2 decades. How long would you hang out on the outside of that window, that soundproof window? They can't, their back is right up against the window, and you're like, I'm right here. Could you imagine that? I'm right here. Not, and you're beating on the window, beating on the window, beating on the window, and you're not, and they can't hear you, they can't see you. I mean, it's right there. If they just turned around, they'd see you and they'd go, oh, it's you. And then you'd look for a door, wouldn't you? Come on, where's the door? I'll meet you at the door. That's what your ideas are doing. That's what your genius is doing. It's right there. I promise you, it's right there. And kind of, this is my interpretation. Kind of like being a little snotty little kid. Every now and then they'll throw you a good idea. That they're able to like throw you one good idea through the window. They get like this pass, and they get to pass something through the window. And they don't pass you the secret, they pass you the interest. Well, if you're not going to pay attention to me, I'm going to just write down light bulb and throw it through the window. And you're like, light bulb? What the heck does that have to do with anything? Light bulb? And it's the key to all keys. They send it to you in code because they're kind of ticked off. I don't think that's the case. That's the story I have sometimes. So there you go. Faith is a state of mind which is induced by autosuggestion. A mind dominated by positive emotions becomes favorable. Becomes a favorable abode for the state of mind known as faith, a positive mind. I can tell you, if you're running around in significance and certainty, you do not have a positive mind. You think you do, which is why you're in pain, because you are nowhere near close to positive. You are nowhere near close to dealing in the uncertain. Just saying. If it be true that one may become a criminal by association with crime, and this is a known fact, it is equally true that one may develop faith by voluntarily suggesting to the subconscious mind that one has faith. Oh, you mean I got to start talking to myself and telling myself? Yeah. The mind comes, finally, to take the nature of the influences which dominate it. Understand this truth, and you will know why it is essential for you to encourage the positive emotions as dominating forces in your mind, and discourage and eliminate negative ones. It says no fewer than 100 times has the secret to success been revealed on these pages. I think we just touched on 6 of them. On every page in this book, the secret has been revealed. I just shared with you 4 or 5 places. Now, the reason you may not be able to hear it is because you have to be ready. When you are ready, you will see it. And my goal is to keep saying it and throwing it out in different ways and showing it in different ideas. So questions, comments, thoughts, takeaways. Questions, comments, thoughts. What'd you learn? What'd you like from today's conversation? All righty. Oh, AJ's got his hand raised. Cool. AJ, go to.
Hey, let me know if this makes me look smart.
Yes,
this
it
thing will
does.
make me look smart.
Are those
Makes me
AI?
look like
Are those AI generated?
No, these are Temu. These are so one of these you can get these at Temu for $2. Makes me look like a distinguished European gentleman.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
FYI, makes me look like a distinguished European gentleman or a Serbian arms dealer, but that's
Yes.
another conversation.
Well, if they were dark, that would be that.
That's a different conversation. Anyhow, how are you doing?
Outstanding.
How you doing? Outstanding. I wanted to message you last night, fell asleep. And funny how you talk about faith today, because that was the question it was related to. That's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
I find I find a lot of things funny recently, more times than before, and I find a lot of things interesting recently, especially since we started talking about TGR.
Mm-hmm.
This was my question. So this is a practice, and I know you're probably gonna say just do it, like the Nike says. I just wanted to see if I was gonna be on the right track with that.
Okay.
So with my DMP, as we spoke the other day, I noticed that when I read it, most times not really kind of doing anything. And the reason for it is because I use ChatGPT to do it for me. So it's kind of robotic. It's not it, it it's not the language I would use. You know what I'm trying to say?
Cool.
So what I was thinking was, since faith equals belief, at least it does in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think about these pictures, these images, these visions, I do feel things.
Okay.
So I was thinking was to ask you, would I be on the right track if I wrote down my DMP in a way that articulates exactly to the smallest detail what I want my perfect life to be like?
Okay.
Would would that be me being on the right side of things or no?
So what does your signal say?
Actually, it says that would be a good idea, I think.
And so at what point would you like to be speaking your own words?
At this point right now.
So then go from there. Don't be surprised that when you activate a new level of genius, that it shows up as doubt. And the reason I say that is because when you type something into a computer and it spits it back out, there is no emotion to it. And we believe it because we don't have to adopt it. It's like, okay, so that's strategy. Now you can get it and you go, "Oh, I like that." Oh, and we're the ones that put the human to it. And what you're finding out now is that your human has evolved. Because when you first wrote it, when you first acquired it, when you first started to build with it, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. This is like, I plug it in, I work it, and I ask it better questions, and I dig and it uncovers, and I dig and it uncovers. And what you're finding out now is that your humanness has been uncovered enough, personally undeveloped enough to say, there's a lot more inside of me.
That is very true, as I am not anywhere near using it as before. I
Right.
mean, not even, I'm not sure exactly what's the percentage, but not even, not even close.
So I'll use it to trigger ideas, to act as if, because that's what you can tell it to do. I want you to act as Jim Rohn. I want you to interview me as Jim Rohn. I want you to interview me as Tony Robbins. Two different interviews, same goal, two different ways they attack it. I want you to interview me as Edison, as Tesla. I want you to interview me as Hill. I want you to interview me as Dorothea Brand. What would be, because I never really ever heard Dorothea Brand. I don't know what her voice sounds like. So I said, interview me as Dorothea Brand for my next book I'm writing. And so because it's a math formula, that's what ChatGPT is. It's a math formula because every letter turns into a digit and some kind of math, and those letters and that letters and that here's a math formula. That's how it can predict and it can respond based upon the formula. It's literally nexting. So if you ask it bigger questions, you can get bigger answers, right? So if you were to say, the number one crypto, I want you to ask me 6 questions that the number one crypto trader in the world would ask me. If I were to start a crypto business of my own, not a coin, not create your own coin, if I wanted to leverage the current trends in these particular exchanges, Forexes, what would the number, because there's got to be somebody who's number one in that. What would the number one trader in that, what hard cutting questions would they ask me to save me 12 months worth of work? See, the challenge is oftentimes We know we want better answers, but if you want better answers, you got to have what? Better questions. And the questions aren't how good can we answer somebody else's question. The question is how much can we ask ourselves the question?
You know what I found interesting?
What?
I went on when you kind of showed me the light of ChatGPT, and I mean, I was on it. I was working with it all day, every day, and I was doing these interviews, just as you said. I would tell it, act as if, blah blah blah. And I've done some interviews with me. It called it AJ Tough Love interview,
Yep.
and we've done that. We've gone through all the pillars and we've gone through all the questions and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that at the time, oh, you put your glasses on now, so you can have a distinguished gentleman's
Well, because
conversation.
it's yeah, it's the screen's just in the right spot for me to see both ways. So
That's awesome. I figured that, are you gonna pull one up on me? All right. I figured that when I did that,
mm-hmm.
it was cool. Yet I realized that as I grew over the last couple of months, with your help, I got the same conclusions and kind of adopted them
Mm-hmm.
just by thinking about them, and I did not need no goddamn computer.
Well, and
And
so here's the
that was
thing.
interesting.
Here's a good question to ask, and this is a question I ask. I'll always ask this with two different variables, and the variables are: am I asking the question to activate in them, or am I asking the same question to activate in them something I can receive? Here's the question, and this is the question you might learn to ask both ChatGPT or other tools. And the question I ask is, hey, what question do you wish I would have asked you? There's something you would love to have answered that I didn't have the capability or capacity to ask you. What question would you have wished I asked you? And what you'll find is if I'm talking to a mentor, because a mentor is sitting, if they are a true mentor, they're sitting in a state of helping you do things you didn't know you could do. When you ask that question of somebody who is in a mentor state, you force them to pause. You force them to say, hey, what do you want to talk about? What do you wish you could have talked to me more about? What do you wish I had given you permission to absolutely give your insight to me about this particular topic? What question do you wish I would have asked you? If it is a mentee situation, a prospect, I ask that to see what burning desire do they have that they would love to really talk about. Hey, listen, we've had a great conversation. Do I have your permission to ask one more question? Yes. What question do you wish I would have asked you? We've spent some time together. You've got incredible skills and talents. I know we've just scratched the surface. Was there a burning response, a burning conversation you wish I would have triggered by asking you a question? What did you really want me to, if I could ask you one question that you would just absolutely shoot you to the moon and back? Does one pop to mind? What you'll find is they typically know because they're in the mentee, the student, the prospect situation. What you will find is if you pay attention to all of the micro expressions, their body will move. You look where they're looking. Is it something of their past, something of their future? The respiratory rate will change. Do they lean in? Oh man, do they lean back? What you're doing is that is a neuroencoding question. for somebody who is in a stressful situation. And sometimes it will reveal something wildly. Listen, here's what I know. Here's what my experience and my research and my actions have shown. I can learn more about your best friend in about 5 minutes than you've ever known. In just basic conversation, never going with the intent, you need to learn something about them that I don't know. I don't think there's anything you can learn that I don't know. I wouldn't take that bet. So if we can ask, what do you wish I would have asked you? And so sometimes I'll say to ChatGPT, what question am I not asking you? With all of the conversations, if you're in a particular thread, with all of the conversations, what question do you wish I would have asked? What question should I be asking you that either my signal is afraid to ask? Right? Because then if I ask that question, I now have more faith. I now have more belief. I now can change the way I look at things. Does that help?
Yes, sir. It does. And I've been thinking about something you said to me the other day. Listening to people versus hearing people and hearing in between the lines. I had a conversation last night with a guy. This guy is an airplane mechanic.
Yep.
Flew all over the world, done some stuff. And we had a conversation at the lake last night. And it got real interesting. Because I noticed for the first time since you told me about this stuff, that I was listening to in between. I was hearing in between the lines of what you wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a very interesting conversation we had last night.
And he didn't know he was having that conversation.
He had no idea. He was just talking. He would just talk. He had no idea.
And so
I was just listening to the stories.
That is you hearing signal. Signal is what is the sound behind the word. Signal is, if you've ever heard thunder, and you can hear thunder, and thunder has different sounds. Thunder has different rumbles. There's some thunder that when it cracks and it just rolls, boom, 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 boom. You're like, what? How? That is like super long. Then there's the one that goes, boom. It's the signal. It's the message behind the words. It's where the words are coming from. And it's so here's the thing. Now that you've activated that awareness, and I just wanted to welcome Samuel. I see Samuel's here. I'm not sure who that is, but it's my first time meeting him, maybe, unless it's somebody came in with an awesome name. Riley's an awesome last name. So great to have you here, Samuel. So when you sit there, what's that? Say again, Samuel?
I said, thank you. Likewise.
Oh, thank you. Great to have you here. So then the thing, AJ, is this. Be aware that you will get lost in the quiet conversation and not be aware of the physical conversation. Which is where you start to learn the phrase. Now do you see how to uncover? Because they don't know they're saying this to you. Everybody's having a conversation with you. They do not know how much they are revealing, right? Or they hold their cards close to the chest. No, nobody holds their cards close to the chest.
Oh, yeah. This guy told me that the whole family tree linear thing, that everything that happened.
Yeah. So now the key is so this is where you see now the power behind, hey, tell me more about that. And what you'll find is that when you say, tell me more about that, they will actually leave the present day conversation, the physical conversation they're having with you, and start to slip down into that subconscious conversation. It's why you don't be surprised when you start to say, wow, say that. Here's another one that I use. Do me a favor. Tell me what you just told me, but use different words. I heard it. I thought it was brilliant. I want to make sure I understand the brilliance behind it. And what you'll find is that when they use different words, it is a completely different story. And in the beginning, you'll have whiplash. And what I mean by that is they're talking about apples and oranges. Hey, say that same thing again, but don't use the same words. I want you to think a little bit. I want you to just say what you just said, but use different words. Oh, well, let me tell you about the giraffes on the plains of the Serengeti. You're like, what? How the hell did we go from apples and oranges to elephants and giraffes on the Serengeti? Your mind is going to have to be okay with them going to their truth faster than you thought possible. And once you get comfortable with knowing that most people are lying when they're talking, and it's not that they're lying, they're just not telling their best truth. It's kind of a lie. So you start to hear all of this, and then what happens is now you have this blender of awareness, and your goal is to say, right, the advancing man, how do I leave them better than I found them? They have just showed me where all of the holes are in their dam, and where all of the complaints are in their life. And now that I'm aware of this, I don't want to leave them like this. So rather than telling them, because nobody wants to be told, but they love to buy. Nobody wants to be sold, told. They love to buy. Hey, listen, with all of this that we talked about, how do we make tomorrow the best day ever? How do we bring them out of this despair? Because if you can pick up on their signal, AJ, they in fact are operating from that signal. Now the question is did he know he was telling you everything about the family lineage?
Probably he was just thinking we were just out there at the lake, just sipping on drinks, having a conversation.
But
It was so interesting.
Did he realize that he was just absolutely showing you all his cards?
I do not think he was. No, I
Nobody
wasn't
is
under that
aware of
impression.
That's why people always say to me, how did you know that? Oh my God, how did you know that?
Yeah, we talked a lot, and I mean when we get started, it was such an interesting conversation, and the fact you said the thing about him switching on signal, that was so true because it was so easy. We started off, we talked about probably small talk, and then he started with the current situation in the country and this and that, and I said, you know what? That's not really a thing I would like to discuss now. I'm kind of having a fight with it, so let's just move on to something else. And he started talking about his work. He started talking about how much he travels. He's been all over the world. He's been in the Arcadia building in New York City 40 years ago, Rio, Canada, all across the United States. He lived in Dublin, London. He lived in Saudi Arabia. He lived in Japan for a while. He was building planes for Lufthansa in Germany. I mean, this guy was just all over the place.
Wow.
And I did not, I gotta say, I did not say, tell me more about that. I just sat back there like this, and I said, that's a wonderful life right there. And he just started pouring into me all these stories, Irish people in Dublin, Shane, Dublin, back in the time when they did not even have a road, comparing to, comparing to right now. And then he told me about London and how they hate each other, and the stories from the pub and everything, and Japan and Saudi Arabia, United States. I mean, this guy was all over the place. And when you see him walking down the street, you would never say that because the guy is pretty much all by himself, just smoking a cigarette, just living life out there.
Why do you
And
think that? Why do you think he's and he is? Why do you think he decides to maintain the solitude that he has?
I'd say maybe because he's seen a lot, probably.
He hasn't. The only way that he can tell his story is to brag. He hasn't learned how to teach. He's telling strategy. Great stories, but there's no moral to them. What's the story about the people in Ireland? What's the story about no roads? Nobody is. If you could teach them how to turn those, or you can even take those stories and turn them into teaching moments. When I was in London and everybody wanted to fight, it's kind of the way we are now. It's just on social media. We fight with digital likes. Right. And so it's how do we always teach from these stories, from these escapades, from these excursions in our life, that if we don't teach from them, if you don't teach me how to learn from you having this conversation, it's you literally brag. You can't tell any other group about having this conversation with this guy and us be intrigued by it, because it's you bragging that you got somebody cool in your life. I got nobody cool in my life. So they're listening. Well, I got nobody cool in my life. So even in the stories you get from this guy, learn to teach from them. If we're not teaching, nobody wants to learn. Nobody wants to hear how wonderful our life is. When I go up and see Anura, my little Puerto Rican, because her hips don't work, and so she's always swaying that tail of hers, which she doesn't have. I teach from that. I make it laughable. I make it fun. If I'm not teaching from it, it's just me bragging, and nobody who wants to be around me bragging. I don't even want to be around me bragging. Well, I don't mean it that way. Yeah, but that's how it comes off. And that's how the brain listens. What's wrong with me versus, ooh, I can be more right by listening to this. Nobody says that. Nobody says I could be right by listening to this. How could I take this conversation that I heard AJ talk about talking to this guy who he just sat and listened, and the guy revealed his frequency? What the hell is good? What does that do for me? It should let all of you know that if it's possible for AJ, it's possible for all of you to listen. So my suggestion is, how can you always tell a story? And a story has what? A beginning, a middle, and an end. That's all a story is a beginning, middle, and end. If you don't end that story and you constantly, how many of us know somebody who starts telling a story and then all of a sudden they talk about, and then I went to the grocery store and tomatoes. Did you know that tomatoes are one of the highest forms of this? And then if you go to your doctor, you can get actually one of those nutritionals, and on Amazon, you're like, where the frig is the end of the story? You never end a story. You keep going on and on and on and on and on. End the freaking story. Because the brain wants conclusion. The brain wants finality. I love that you had this conversation. So do you have the guy's phone number?
He's a regular like me, so we kind of hang out at night.
Okay, so send him a text today. Send him a text as soon as you can and say, hey, listen, I just got to brag on you. Thanks for our conversation yesterday, and just leave it at that. And you want to watch somebody with some intrigue and some curiosity. What the hell did you, what did I do?
Well, what you did, you mister, is help me how to go through stuff like this, because this guy is in his 60s. He is approaching retirement. I'm not saying that is a bad thing. I'm saying that is a good thing, because just like we talk about every single day, pretty much, I'm in my 20s. This guy is in his 60s. I've seen some stuff he's seen 1,000 times on steroids, times 1,000 more things than I did.
But he's not seen one thing. Here's the thing. He's not seen one thing you've done. He may have seen 1,000 more than you've ever seen, but he's not seen one that you've done. You've got to own that. That's why he finds you intriguing. He's not seen one thing you've done. We got to own it. We have to take evidence. We have to take our credit. We're so easy when we come in contact with these people who have these global experiences. Oh my God, he's seen so much more than I have, but he's not seen one damn thing I've done.
What I wanted to say was that I'm grateful for you teaching me this stuff, because despite that fact, I was able to sit comfortable with him and have a conversation. I mean, we sat there probably till like 11 o'clock at night last night, and they closed at 8.
I love pubs like that. I love it,
man. So the female owner left me with the key, and I was out there on the front porch with, she left me the key. I was on the front porch with him. We just, sipped drinks and talked. And I understood exactly what you said, which was, I heard everything he didn't say.
Yep.
And I could hear that. And that's why I brought the point of me being in my 20s, him being in his 60s, and we have this totally different life experience so far. And I was still able to do that. And just like you said, he did not even he did not have a clue that he was just pouring all this information in me. He might have thought we just had locker room talk or something. And I was out there, and I know a lot of things about him right now since last night. And it was such an interesting interaction for me. And I want to say thank you for teaching me how to navigate through these things, because these things are valuable. I mean, this is valuable stuff right here when you learn how to
Well,
listen to people.
and the reason that he unloaded on you is because it was the first place his signal was received.
On a couple of occasions, he was like, am I bothering you?" And I'm like, "No, no, it's just let's just talk. Let's just talk. I'm loving this story. Tell me more about whatever happened in Japan." And he started talking, and it was great.
Isn't that
Thank you,
cool?
thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
And
And
I'm gonna say something about that T-shirt, boy, because
yep,
if you don't start playing, I love it. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
still fits. I haven't gotten larger, so I love it. I love it. And the thing is that I think about my day when I go to put this shirt on. What is my day going to be? Because it would be very easy sometimes to instantly go out. So I either put it on going, I'm going to wear it all day, or I need to make sure I change it because I don't want to mess it up. This is so special that when I pull it off of the hanger, there's thought that goes into it. It's just not the next shirt in rotation. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you get to see it. I love the way it feels. It's an awesome shirt.
So that's a shirt being produced by one of Mitch's friends. Is the owner of the place. So you'll see on your left sleeve, you'll see 011.
Yep.
So 011 is the dialing number for, you don't remember back in the day when you had house phones?
Yeah.
So 011 is the dialing number for Belgrade. And that's why it's called 011 Shop, because it's just about Belgrade stuff. And I'm gonna have another one coming to you in October, and that's gonna be great.
So do you realize that little square has a huge story?
Oh yeah.
My point is that the whole shirt is an amazing story. And then this is the inside language. This is what it means to be a part of a community. It's called, do you have secret language? The military has secret language. Nurses have secret language. And I say secret, it's because they use it all the time. I need a PBR and an LMNOP and a PLT and whatever it is, whatever the lingo is. But now I didn't know what that meant. Now I'm on the inside and I know what that means. Do you realize that that's the dialing code for Belgrade when we used to call on phones? No, I didn't know that. Now all of a sudden it even makes the shirt more special.
Yeah, so that's the logo plus the 011 means what it means. So
that's so cool.
That's good stuff right there. A true Serbian patriot.
Love it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Last comments, thoughts, questions? So here's what I would offer you. Pay attention to your frequency. Pay attention to the frequency of those around you. Here's one of the things that I used to do when I would travel. When I would sit in airports, I used to do 100 flights a year, easily 100 flights a year. When I would do my flights, I would sit in, and I forget what book I read this in. I would sit in my chair, and you could literally send your energy out, dip into somebody's field of energy. I would imagine dipping into their heart to get their true heart-centered energy, and look at it and see who they are. See what fears they have as they go through a very public environment. How closed off are they? How aware are they? How much are they afraid of the environment? Are they running behind on their flight? Are they ahead of their flight? Are they going to see somebody? Is it a happy reunion they're going to? Was it a happy reunion they just came from? Are they going to, or are they coming from? I would look at people and just start to, because you're either going someplace or coming from someplace in an airport. Next time you're in an airport, ask yourself, I wonder if they're going to or if they're coming from. You'll be surprised how quick you could tell whether somebody is returning from a trip or somebody's going to a trip, right? Especially if they're crossing just through the terminals. Maybe they got to cross through the terminal to get out. You won't typically see the people who are exiting, but you'll see people who are going home if they got to make transfers. Does that make sense? So all of a sudden you start to watch people, and are they going home or are they going to? Are they coming home or are they going to? And you just start to look at that and you'll see the frequency. You'll see the signal with which they have. Are they going home to a happy wedding? Are they going home to a happy marriage? Are they going home to the being alone? Are they going home to their dog is sick? If you're just sitting there reading your text and scrolling through TikTok, I'd offer you a different way to look at things. You have the ability to pick up on people's signals like that. Start to tune it, start to teach it, start to train it to yourself. I love you. I'm your head brain training. Find your signal misfit. I'll see y'all where?
Next event.
At the next event. Somebody give me some Costa Ricas.
Pura vida.
Pura vida.
Pura vida. We love you, Mark. And some Lydias.
Peace be with us.
Peace be
I
with us.
know, Dubby. And some queen of helping your signal get stronger, Jessie Lee Ward. What is
Slay, baby.
And a little white fluffy.
Gurgly,
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 gurgly.
gurgly.
Tell her, Dubby. You miss Fee. Yes. See you all tomorrow morning. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Love you tons. Bye.
Thank you, Sean. Love
Thank
you all.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
great
Thank you.
day.
Dub.
Thank you for today.